People learn in different ways. To allow for the fact that learning doesn't just take place in the classroom, but takes place at any time of the day or night. Sometimes I've often kept a little notebook beside my bed, and suddenly, my God, I've got an idea, and I write it down at 2 o'clock in the morning and then can't sleep. And I think this is one of the things to remember, that a learning environment should be an environment that recognizes that learning doesn't just take place between 9 o'clock and 9:50 on a sunny Monday morning, or to use my classes, 3 and 5 on a wet Tuesday evening. It takes place at any time. So, if we're going to have a learning environment, recognize learners' ideas, make it learner-centered, allow for the fact that learning takes place everywhere. Great, love it, we can all come out happy. But here's some criticisms. And I've heard all of these criticisms. Unfocused. What do people learn in classrooms? What do people learn from a student-centered approach? We as educators must tell students something so that they learn it in the classroom. There's a favourite phrase from Charles Dickens about this. In Dickens' Hard Times, there was once a teacher who was teaching students to pronounce words properly. And he said, you must learn your pronunciation properly. Papa, potatoes, prunes, and prism. Say it properly, please. And throughout the class, he went on making students repeat, Papa, potatoes, prunes, and prism. Can we repeat it, please, after 3? Can we repeat it, please? After 3, I'll count to 3 and then you repeat it, all right? Shall we do that? Shall we do that? Okay, after 3, Papa, potatoes, prunes, prism. Understand that? Papa, potatoes, prunes, prism. Okay? After 3. 1, 2, 3. Papa, potatoes, prunes, prism. No, that's too quiet. Make it louder. I can't hear you. Do it again. Papa, potatoes, prunes, prism. Now, what have you learned from saying that? Now, that's what I mean. Sometimes knowledge is good, but so what? The next one. Difficult to evaluate or to grade. How do you evaluate or grade somebody learning when you don't have knowledge to grade? The next one. Learners don't learn anything. By doing group activities, they learn nothing. I've had this criticism. And what I would say in response to that is that group learning and learning learner-centeredly is like drinking good wine. Do we have people that drink wine here? Anybody drink wine? I know some of you are non-drinkers and we say, we never touch wine, okay. But like drinking good wine. Can you hear me at the back, by the way? Okay. Yeah, like drinking good wine. Good wine is bad to taste at the beginning. You take the wine, don't like it. But the more you drink of it, the nicer it becomes. And the more wine you drink, the nicer it becomes. And learner-centered learning is like that. You may not think that you're learning much, but as it goes on, suddenly you realise, give you one example of this. At school, I had an English teacher whose name was Dr. Piggott. He was known as Piggy. Piggy Piggott, he was known as. And he had the most wonderful English accent. He spoke like this, you know. And he had this wonderful upper-class accent. And we thought, when I was at school, that he was really snobbish. Do you understand what I'm... And we thought, when he talks about D.H. Lawrence, For those who don't know who D.H. Lawrence is, he's an English author. We used to do nothing in his class. We didn't have mobile phones in those days, but we used to throw paper around. Write love letters to imaginary girlfriends. It was an all-boys school, you see. But Piggy was the kind of teacher, it was only after 20 years that I suddenly realized that Piggy, Dr. Piggott, was actually a very good teacher. Why? Because he taught us to value our own opinions. If you wanted to call him something rude in class, I won't use a rude word, it's too early, but if you wanted to call him something rude or say, I think D.H. Lawrence is rubbish, I hate D.H. Lawrence. I hate D.H. Lawrence. He didn't mind. He taught us to value our own opinions, but it was only after 20 years that I realized that he had been giving a learning experience. So my answer to learners don't learn anything is this. You may not know you're learning something now, but in 20 years' time, when you are all married, not counting the front row, when you are all married with 4 children each, you may remember it. Right. Why is all of this important? I thought I would share a couple of quotations recently about universities. One in Britain, one in Turkey. This is a quotation from a very well-known education journal published in England. And it says, at least a third of all university courses have no meaningful existence and are being kept afloat by profits from other areas. For those of you who don't know what no meaningful existence means, it means that according to the survey, a third of courses in English universities are useless. And what has happened? One university has cut its courses by 70%. So that means they get rid of history, philosophy, acting, and Caribbean studies because they are considered useless. People don't learn anything. And this, I think, is one of the reasons why perhaps we need to consider alternative ways of learning languages, literature, or other subjects. But you might say to me, that's England. This is not England, this is Turkey. You may be English, but we are not English, we are Turkish. This comes from a recent survey done by the World Bank of all Turkish universities in all areas. State universities, private universities. And look what it says. Most courses do not teach these skills. Foreign language skills, analytical skills, critical thinking, as we've put here, social, behavioural and communications skills. Translate that. Social skills means being able to act in different companies, different areas. Behavioural skills means knowing the right type of behaviour in different situations. And communications skills means being able to talk to people of all areas. And most courses don't teach those things. So maybe we need to change a little bit and think about ways in which we can create a learning environment so that we can develop these skills. Now, how do we reshape the learning agenda? What does that mean? The learning agenda means what you do on Mondays at 9 o'clock. What you study on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock. What you study on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. Learners need to know why they are doing something. That does not mean you are studying this just to pass an exam. It means why they are doing it, to develop these skills. So if a piece of work or a syllabus doesn't develop those skills, there may be no reason to do it. And how it will contribute to developing their skills. So, for example, if a lecturer lectures for 60 minutes on quantum physics, developmental mechanics, this is a great subject, wonderful, but does the subject help learners to develop that skill? I'll give you one other example of this just to show you what I mean. If you go to a website of one university